everyone, welcome back to the channel, The Joyful Budget. My name is Lorraine, and today I am sharing with you how I personally have saved hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on my garden. And these are things that I do this year and every year thereafter that save me a lot of money. And they are easy and accessible for anyone to do wherever you are from. So if you are interested in this, please stay tuned because I have a lot of information to share. These are all things that I personally do. They're not just pulled somewhere from some list. I actually do these things. They're super easy and yeah, they're gonna save you a lot of money. So I hope that this video is helpful for you and that it encourages you, despite what your income or budget is, to get out there and start gardening. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about was water, how to save money on your water, because I know for me, when I first moved into my house and I wanted to start a garden, this was one of the things that I was most concerned about. Now that I was going to have to be paying for the water, I was really concerned about the cost of it. And so I started thinking about it and figuring out ways to save money on it. And the first thing that came to mind, obviously, was rain barrels and collecting rainwater. Now, I was a novice. I've never done this before. And I just started looking online to see if I could find, rain barrels and what they cost. And I was like shaken about how expensive they were. Just to give you an example, my city, they sell rain barrels for $78, which I just think is like outrageously expensive. And I couldn't find them for like that much cheaper at other retail stores around my city. And so I was pretty discouraged, but I knew that I really wanted them. And I ended up finding them on Facebook Marketplace. A lady was selling them. Now this was a few years ago, and we got our 5 rain barrels for $40. And I was so excited. I sent my husband out like right away because I was concerned that they would be really popular. And I was right. He told me that when he got there, the lady was telling him that we were pretty lucky to be able to get them because after my message came through, like so many more messages came through. So I was really, really pleased. My husband packed them all up and brought them to our house and hooked everything up for us. Now, obviously it is a lot more annoying to use the rain water and like hooking them up and everything like that. It's much more convenient to just hook up to your house water, but like honestly it saves us so much money. We have them all around our house, like under the drain pipes. They collect so much water throughout the season. We use them in spring, summer, and in fall, as long as it's not frozen yet. We really are very happy with them. And I also think that the water is just better for the plants also than just like a regular house water. So highly recommend looking on Facebook Marketplace or secondhand areas for rain barrels because yeah, there's no way that I'd be able to spend $80 for a rain barrel. And also I got them, like the rain barrels that we got secondhand were much larger than the ones that the city was selling or that the ones that I was seeing on other like retail spaces. So definitely check out secondhand shops and Facebook Marketplace for rain barrels. The next thing is just like regular how to preserve your water. So we do things like we try and water early in the morning to avoid evaporation. We try to make sure we're mulching as much as we possibly can to kind of conserve the water and keep the water moist. Other things that we do as well is we try and when we plant our plants, for example, I have hydrangeas and I have them planted in an area of our garden where it's just naturally much more moist. It's very wet over there, and instead of fighting with the plant and putting them in an area that is naturally dry where I would have to give them a lot more water, I put them in an area that's already naturally moist, so it cuts down on the water that I have to give them. And you can also just think about planting plants together that have similar water needs as well. And native plants, which I'll get to later on, that's also great because they are much more tolerant to the area that you are in, obviously, because they're native and they wouldn't have to be as watered as much. So those are just things to keep in mind when you're thinking about watering. Another thing that I do around water is that I actually melt snow. This is for watering my plants that are inside and my seedlings. This isn't necessarily to save money, but it does, I guess, cut down on the water that I have to get from my tap. But I just saw something online where it was showing an example of how different waters and how they impact the growth of the plant, and the melted snow did really well. So yeah, I've just started doing that, and as far as I know, it's working well. So the next topic would be the soil. I know that this is a really expensive one. For me, it's probably the most expensive outside of the total cost of water. It's a lot of money to spend. So for me, what I do is that we have a great company in our area, and I'm pretty sure that this is a company that is either available nationwide or there's similar companies to it. But for me, I use a company called the Big Yellow Bag, and I get a big yellow bag of soil. So I am buying my soil in bulk instead of buying like the individual bags. If I purchase the individual bags, you know, that's way more money overall for the amount of soil that I actually need to use. But it is a large upfront cost. So for the type of soil that I get, and I get like a large amount of it, it's around anywhere between 170 up to like 220. And the company that I go for, like, it's a landscaping company as well. So you can buy different types of dirt, compost, mulch, rock, pea gravel, things like that, and you're buying it in bulk, and so it's a much cheaper price. So it's great for larger scale projects or the gardeners that need a lot of dirt. The great thing about it too is that there's no time that you have to give back the bag. So they deliver to you, it comes in this huge bag, and you don't have to give the bag back at all, and there's no time limit on it. Now the trick that I do, because I know every year that I do use one of these bags, I do the early bird special. So this is just a tip just to watch out for whatever company is in your area. Watch out in like the, you know, winter months like January and February. They might have early bird specials where you can save a lot of money if you order early. So for me, I saved $40 on my bag, which is great because I was gonna buy the bag anyway, and now I got the early bird special for it. So I saved $40. They also have a deal, I'm not sure if it's active or not, but in the past they've had a deal where if you return the bag yourself, so if you take the bag and bring it all the way back to the company, they'll give you a 20% off discount for your next purchase as well. So those are just some things to keep in mind. So buy your soil in bulk and buy it hopefully early on enough where you're getting the best deal for it. Okay, so while we're on the topic of soil, this next tip, this has been the biggest, I swear, this is the biggest game changer in my garden, hands down. This like changed everything in my garden. It is container gardening and scrap gardening. So I am going to link below the video for the YouTube channel that I learned all of this from, because they give way more in-depth information about it, and they are just excellent teachers as well. So they are Robbie and Gary Gardens. I'll link them below and just go and check them out. They're absolutely amazing. So what they do is that they do something called container gardening. And what they have is like they plant in those large Rubbermaid totes. And so as long as the tote is, you know, food safe, it's excellent. Now, when I was watching her video, I think that she was saying that the totes were around $5. She is from California. And so myself up in Canada, like when I look for totes, they are definitely not $5 retail. The cheapest that I can get is $9.97 if I'm buying them on sale at Walmart where I'm from. That's the cheapest that I can get. But what I did is, again, I went on Facebook Marketplace and I would buy secondhand Rubbermaid containers. So I was getting them for about $5 a container, but that was secondhand. I have also found them at places like Value Village for about $6.99. So that is cheaper than the buying them brand new, but not a whole lot. But it is a lot cheaper than having to build my own bed. And when I started using these container gardens, my harvest was so much better. I got way better harvest from these gardens, from these like raised container gardens, than I've ever gotten in my own soil or in other types of beds. So they were really great that way. But the other thing that they do is that they help save on soil costs dramatically. So what she does is that she does something called scrap gardening in these containers. So she just has one of these containers open, and she just puts all of her kitchen scraps and garden scraps throughout the year and just fills them up. And so that way she's filling them up mainly with free scraps, and then she only has to use a smaller, like a very small amount of actual soil that she's paid for on the top. And so I've started doing this. I started in December and it's February now, like the end of February, and I already have 2 full containers full. So on the bottom of my containers, and obviously you have to put holes in them, on the bottom I have like bulkier things like cardboard, branches, things like that to help with drainage. And then on top, it's just every day I dump all of my kitchen scraps into these containers. So it's all sorts of kitchen scraps go in there. And then at the very top, I put a little bit of soil when I'm ready to plant. And you will notice as you do this, like you'll fill it up and then it'll start, as it starts decomposing and breaking down, like it gets lower and lower, and then you just keep filling it up with more kitchen scraps. You can do a layer of dirt if you like as well. So check that out. For me, it's going to save us so much money doing the scrap gardening, because yeah, I have to use a fraction of the soil that I used last year, because last year I wasn't doing the scrap gardening in these containers. I was just using, you know, the dirt that I had because I didn't have any scraps. So definitely recommend doing this. My mom also does it, and she's had wild success with her gardens as well. So yeah, definitely check out this video and do this because it would save you so much money. It saves on compost costs because you're just basically making a compost yourself, and it saves on soil costs. Okay, seeds are the next big ticket item. I think that, you know, the seeds are like probably one of the funnest parts of gardening is getting all of your seeds. It's so exciting. My tips on how to save on your seeds. So first and foremost, I like to buy my seeds way in advance. So when I get my seed catalogs like in December through January and February, but really I'm buying around the late December, early January mark, because I found that buying early, you get the seeds that you actually want, because what ends up happening if you wait too long, then a lot of the seeds are sold out. And if you're buying seeds kind of like in that peak gardening season where a lot of gardeners are going for it, like in, you know, May and June, they're a little bit more expensive. So I like to buy early. That is my, I guess my motto is do everything kind of like, you know, in that December through January, maybe February, to get the best deals and also to get the seeds that you actually want. Now, once you have gotten the seeds, you have to make sure that you're actually taking care of them. They are an investment. If you're buying like a lot of seeds like I do, you know, they can be a lot, it does add up, even though it's only like, you know, $3, $4, $2 a pack, but it does add up over time, and you want to make sure that you are taking care of them, because if you don't take care of them, then it just produces a lot of waste and you have to repurchase every year, or you just wasted your money basically. So take care of your seeds and make sure that you're not leaving them outside. I know for me, I'm guilty. I put them away and then my kids get at them because I haven't put them away well enough, I suppose. My kids get at them, and then all of a sudden I have beans growing, you know, in my poinsettias or something like that. So just, you know, be mindful to take care of the seeds that you actually get and make sure that you are preserving them and keeping them, you know, as they should be kept to extend their life. And that way you don't have to constantly repurchase seeds. Okay, so if you are, you know, searching anywhere for gardening or seeds ideas, I'm sure you have seen this case. Now, I have not organized my seeds yet, but they are, you know, stored in here. I have seen this, and I'll show you all of the different examples. Like whenever I look up how to organize my seeds or how to store seeds, this container pops up. Now, if you were to buy this container new from Michael's, it's like $30. So what I did is, again, go on Facebook, and I found 3 containers, 3 of them, for $30. So I got them for $10 each. And I've also found them at Goodwill. I got the rainbow one at Goodwill for $13. So you don't have to, you know, pay full price. And I know sometimes Michael's has, you know, 20% off sales or whatever, but if you look secondhand, you will be able to find them. They are very popular, and you will be able to find them for much, much cheaper than what you would if you just bought them new. And they do really, they do really work. The next thing for seeds is, you know, starting indoors. So for me, where I'm from, I have a very, very short growing season. The last frost can be like, you know, end of May basically, and then the first frost can be really early, even sometimes in August. So, you know, it's a very short growing season. So for me, I really do have to do a lot of growing inside, and I have to give my plants a really good head start indoors. But it can be expensive as well. And I looked a lot on, you know, different channels, but what people are doing to kind of produce the best indoor seedlings. And I will link below. There is another YouTube channel that I really like. They are a flower farm from Kelowna. They're called You Can't Eat the Grass. That's their YouTube channel. I will link them below because I will talk about them a couple of times. But they have a great video talking about the different types of grow lights that you can use and what they think is the best. So I recommend checking out that channel. For me, I have found in the past, like, I'm like, oh, I want the cheapest version. Like, they're so expensive. So I try and find like hacks on growing lights, and they never work out. So I end up wasting money on things that I was hoping would save me money because I'm spending less. But in the long run, I should have just, you know, bought the right thing, you know, earlier on, instead of wasting my money on these different types of methods where I thought I was saving money. So what you can do, because grow lights I think can be pretty pricey, you don't have to buy them all at once. Like start small, start with one grow light, and then next year you can get another one, or you can ask for them for Christmas, or you can take a look and see if you can find them secondhand as well. And what I did was that I just repurposed an old shelf that I had. I got them from IKEA. I will link them below. I use them for like a variety of different things because they're so cheap, but they are open. So the important thing is that they are all open on all sides. And then I have these lights that fit really well on the shelf. And then I put an old mirror that I wasn't using anymore, and I put that behind the shelf, and then I wrapped the whole thing in tin foil. And so it's just like capturing the light and beaming the light and capturing that the little amount of heat. And I have produced very, very strong seedlings, and I'm really happy with it. I think eventually I would want to try and invest in something better that's a little bit more like, you know, meant for actually growing seeds. But you know, like there's so much money, and for right now, this is what I need to do to save money and still get the strong, not leggy seedlings. The next thing that we did was that my husband and I invested in a greenhouse. Now, I am obsessed with my greenhouse. I absolutely love it. I would just want to like live in it in the summertime. I'm so excited about this greenhouse. What we were planning on doing, my husband and I, was that he was going to build me a greenhouse because like I said, we have a very, very short window of time for growing outside, but we do have hot sun, and we do have spurts of really warm weather all throughout the winter season. And so the greenhouse really is going to help me extend a lot of my growing season. I'm going to get a much better harvest, and I'm going to save so much money over time with the amount of vegetables I'll be able to grow, and the plants that I'll be able to grow and keep strong and healthy in my greenhouse. So we knew that we needed one, we knew that we wanted one. So he was going to build me a greenhouse, and it was going to be made with kind of cheaper materials, and it was going to cost us between $200 to $350 to build this greenhouse that we knew was going to be temporary until we were able to save up enough to purchase a greenhouse. But then I went on Facebook Marketplace and I found my dream greenhouse for only $600. The one that I got retails for $12.50, so that's already a great deal. But with this greenhouse, we got the greenhouse, we got the frame that they had built out, the wood frame to secure it. We got 3 workbenches, and then we also got the 4 pavers and the pea gravel to go underneath. So it was such a bargain. All we had to do was go and disassemble it, take it all apart, pack it up, and it took us 2 days. The people were so nice, and also they had raised beds as well, and they were offering like, they're like, oh, you can take the raised beds, but they were frozen at the time, and like we just didn't have the space. So that's something else to keep in mind too, is that, you know, you're going to these places to get one thing specific, but you might also be able to pick up other things as well. Because if we had gone in the spring or the summer to get the greenhouse and those raised beds weren't frozen, I would have like taken them in a hot minute. Unfortunately, they were, frozen into the ground. There's no way that we could have taken them. I digress. I love my greenhouse. I've already used it. We had like a week and a half of really, really warm spring weather. It was like in the +6s, +8s even. So I brought up my seedlings, my strong seedlings from their little DIY indoor growing area, and we put them out into the greenhouse for a few hours a day to get some strong natural sunlight, and then we would take them back at the end of the day and tuck them away into their little bed. The next thing you will see, you must have seen in that kind of footage that I gave you, the paper pots. So this video I will link below. Again, it's from You Can't Eat the Grass, and they teach you how to make paper pots for seedlings from newspapers. For us, we didn't actually have any newspapers, like not very many. Like once in a while we may get a flyer here and there, but my dad does still get the newspaper, so I just asked him for his, and a little goes a very long way. And we just started rolling up these paper pots. They do work really well, and I'm really pleased with them, and they're so great. If you watch the video that I've linked below, they go way more in depth about, you know, all of the great things and the benefits of it. But long story short, they're free because they're just being used from newspaper. They're environmentally friendly. You don't have to reseed or like repot the seedlings. You just plant it directly into the ground, and they actually produced stronger seedlings as well. So they are a great option, especially if you are trying to save as much money as possible, and they work so well. I'm really really thrilled with mine, and going forward, like I'm never going to have to buy any other like seed starting thing or anything like that. I'm really really pleased with these paper pots. So take a look at that channel below, look at that video, and you will learn exactly how to make your own paper pots for free at home. And the other thing that I personally really am grateful for is that I don't have to store them. So, you know, you all know, like in fall or late summer when you're done with your little seedling trays, then you have to clean them and put them away and find places for them. But you don't have to for these ones because they are just happily in the ground decomposing. So yeah, check out that video below, how to make paper pots. Okay, so now we have gotten to the actual plants themselves. There are some great tricks that I want to share with you for saving money on your plants. Personally, I like to buy perennial plants because you buy them once and then they come back every year stronger and better. I also try and buy native plants. That way I'm not fighting with the plant to kind of like agree with the area. They want to grow, and so they're much easier to take care of. They require less water, less maintenance, and they should hopefully, you know, thrive in the environment that you have. Another thing that I like to do is I buy on clearance later on in the season. So I got last year so many beautiful shrubs and even a plum tree. I got a plum tree, 3 beautiful shrubs, and 2 roses for only $120. So that was such a good price. I got them in early to mid October. So they were on clearance at the store. I think it was from Canadian Tire, and they were just trying to clear out all of their stock. And the thing, like the best part about this is that the fall is actually the best time to plant these plants. So you want to be planting the shrubs and things in the early to late fall, so that it gives it an opportunity to establish itself and create a stronger root base and just focus on building strong roots so that it comes back in the spring very strong, instead of planting it in the spring and having a kind of a short amount of time to really focus on the roots before it starts flowering and producing leaves and things like that. That takes a lot of the energy away. So planting it later on in the fall focuses the energy on the roots. And also you get it for a fraction of the price. So don't be afraid, even if the thing doesn't look that pretty in late October or early October, you know, it's still going to be a beautiful plant for you, and it's super cheap. So check out the clearance sections in the fall. So companion planting is another great option, and something really I encourage you to look into and to do in your own garden. It's a natural pest control. It naturally amends the soil, and the plants just work together to produce strong, healthy plants for you. So it is a great thing to do. I know like a lot of people know of the tomato, basil, and marigold trio. There's the famous Three Sisters trio where you plant corn and then you have pole beans growing up the stalk that also provides nitrogen in the soil to produce better corn, and then you have squash providing a canopy over everything to keep the soil nice and moist. So they all work together to produce, you know, a good harvest from all of those 3 different types of vegetables. So just take a look. Instead of spending money on pest control or things to kind of like prevent pests in your garden, check first, see what kind of companion planting you can do. It also attracts pollinators, and it's just generally really, really good. So take a look, see how you can do that in your own garden as well. The next thing that I wanted to share was that you can check out and see what your city or what your area offers. So I know for my city in particular, they give away free trees every spring, as long as you are one of the lucky ones on the list. I have been trying and I'm always too late. So this year I'm really focusing. I really want one of these trees. They have a wide selection of native trees that will thrive in any area across the city. They come in fruit trees and different types of trees. So look and see what your city has to offer, and hopefully they have some type of program to, you know, provide free trees or free plants as well. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to mention was to actually just go on Facebook and join a gardening group in your area. So for me, I joined one and I was a little bit hesitant because, you know, I'm a novice gardener. I've only been doing it for a few years, and I thought like, okay, I don't have anything to offer. I don't really have anything that I'm, you know, wanting to know necessarily, but when you do have a question or you want to figure something out or you are looking for something, they are a really great resource to help you out, and they just generally want to help you and help you succeed as a gardener, and they're so helpful, and they're also very generous. So for me, I asked a question and I said, hey, does anybody know of a good area to get a good price on mulch in our area? And one of the people on the group saw my post and they said, hey, I'm actually a farmer. I've got like a whole bunch of excess, mulch or compost or whatever it was at the time. You can come and get it for free if you want it. So like, they're so nice. You can get really great deals. If they're selling anything, if they're trying to get rid of anything, if you have questions about like your specific area, deals that are going on, like they're a great thing to kind of monitor and have access to. And they can help you out and save you money. Like I said, I got free compost from a farmer because of it. So highly recommend going on there and yeah, just at least having access to a group so it's there when you need it. Okay, so those are my tips on how I save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on gardening every year. And I hope that they are helpful to you and really encourage you to get out there and start gardening. I know spring is coming soon. I promise you it is coming soon. So get on out there, start thinking about your gardening, start thinking about what I've said and see how you can utilize it in your own day-to-day gardening to save a lot of money. And I hope that it encourages you to get out there and learn how to save a lot of money and start gardening to save even more money in the future. I promise you, gardening is a worthwhile thing to get into, especially if you want to grow your own fruit and veg. So hopefully these tips helped. If I missed anything or you have any great ideas as well, please comment below and share your tips with everybody who's watching. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.